I will present something that is actually not work by myself, but that Dennis did, and even quite a while ago, and it took us far too long to integrate it. And what he was doing was that he improved how DoIts actually are implemented in the system. And if you look at Faro 10, there is this problem that a DoIt, when you look at it, when it's compiled, it's actually pretty printed, because it needs to be transformed to be able to read variables and to have a return at the end of the method. That doesn't really look nice. So if you look at Faro 10, so imagine we have here a typical workspace, and if we now execute a DoIt here, then you see that this is pretty printed, so this is not nice. So it's not the code that I actually executed. You see that there is a return at the end, and it's a method DoIt that I never created, so why is it there? And it gets even worse. So imagine we now execute in the debugger again my temp halt, then it actually looks like this. So that means now it's actually DoIt in with a variable, and then we have, instead of a variable access, we have this really strange thing like this context read variable named mytemp. That's not nice. So what he did actually is to use the power of our first class variables to make it better. So that means instead of transforming the AST for the variables, we don't do that anymore. We can actually we can use the variable name as it is. No pretty printing needed because the return transformation was removed, which means that actually now if you use evaluate of the compiler, the function is actually now much, much faster. I think it's factor 6, even for one-liners or something. So, and of course, even bigger when the method gets larger, or the expression gets larger. And what was possible too in this context was to remove the method header completely. So we will see that now in the example. So same example. Now we actually select it and make it DoIt. And now you see there is no DoIt method header anymore, but it's the expression that is selected, completely how I typed it. So with all white space information, without a return at the end, without the need of pretty printing. And if I now execute this one like I did before, so a second halt in the debugger, then suddenly we do not need to have this strange temps, but we can actually just have normal temps, and it works. So if you now print this mytemp, it actually evaluates correctly and reads 1. And what is behind it is actually first class variables. So the variables in the workspace are actually now, I think they are called DoIt variable. Yeah, exactly. So there's a DoIt variable class, which is a subclass of variable, how you would expect it. And this one is actually a wrapper around an action variable and the context. And this allows us to actually tell the compiler, hey, this is this variable. And it, of course, that means that emit store and emit value is implemented, and emit value is the easiest to understand. It actually just pushes self and sends read, and this is how it's actually implemented. Yep, that's everything I wanted to show.